Guys, what's up? My name is Juliana and I've been wanting to do this video for the longest time. I would think about it, I would dream about it, and now it's finally gonna happen. I'm gonna talk about how I found out about my disorder and what it really is in the way that I could explain it best. So I'm gonna take you back to when I was a senior in high school, 2011. I was sitting around the table with my family. We were just having a normal dinner. We were talking about things in the past. We were talking about, our bunny rabbits. My sister and I had 2 bunny rabbits. One of them died in my arms, basically. And the other one died or ran away. I think he just ran away, not died. That was my sister's bunny. But I always thought he ran away. Turns out, my parents didn't want to deal with him anymore, so they just kind of let him loose into the wild. And he actually lived a very long time for a bunny, because what happened is all around the neighborhood, our neighbors would say, our flowers are being destroyed, our, vegetables or whatever we're growing, they're like always eaten and we don't know why. It was a bunny. Sorry, guys. And at that same dinner table, my parents told me that I had a learning disability. And that took me back. I was like, wait, what? I have a learning disability? I never knew this was a thing. What happened? How did this story go? And so they told me that when I was about 2 years old, I couldn't speak, I couldn't say anything. Even up until 4, I had a hard time talking. And what happened was my parents kept taking me to speech pathologists and audiologists, and my hearing was fine, but I couldn't say words, I couldn't speak. And the speech pathologist said that, oh, she has auditory processing disorder. Keep in mind, auditory processing disorder back in like the 90s was a very new thing. Not a lot of people knew about it, not a lot of people believed it was a disability or a learning disability in that fact. It was just kind of like something so new that they had a hard time understanding it, and even to this day it's kind of hard to understand why it happened, how it became a thing. So basically, to me, how I tell people what auditory processing disorder is I say it's kind of like dyslexia but for the ears, and usually people understand that right away, or I'd have to explain to them what dyslexia is first, and then tell them what auditory processing disorder is. And so, basically, back in high school, everything started clicking. Everything started making sense. I started understanding why I had such a hard time in school, why I was different than everyone else, because I always felt that I was different. I always felt that there's something off, there's something wrong with me. I could never understood what that was, and kind of was like a light bulb, like just went off, and it was like, oh, it's because of this is the reason why I had such a hard time in school and I didn't know about it. And my parents tried everything they could to help me succeed in school and help me get the grades I deserved and everything like that, because they told the teachers on my behalf that I had this learning disability and to place me in front of the room where I could be able to understand and listen to them. Because when I'm in conversations with people or in lecture halls, I found that I sometimes had to ask a lot of questions, like, can you repeat that please? What? Like, I don't understand what you're saying, because something in my brain doesn't, like, when I hear an auditory, sentence, sometimes it just doesn't get to my brain right away and I miss what they said. And I have to ask, like, many times to repeat it. And I hate that, because it makes me feel dumb and it makes other people feel, like, annoyed. And that was at the time. Now I understand, I'm not dumb, no one's dumb. It was just a disability that I had and I didn't know. And when I was doing research on this when I was a kid, I would go back in time and think, oh my gosh, I couldn't understand freaking instructions because I only got like the first part of it and the last part of it. Everything in the middle would be like mixed up, because orally, it's kind of hard for me to remember exactly what everyone said, like boom, 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 boom. You know, it had to be like written down. You know, if it's written down, I could easily see it. I'm like, oh, this is perfect. I could follow instructions easily. I'm a very visual and kinesthetic learner. And so, you know, being auditory is very difficult, especially in long lecture halls. Oh my gosh, those were killer. I had this one class in college, and it was speech 301. And basically, the teacher would just sat in front of the classroom. She would just sit there and talk and talk and talk and talk for 3 hours. I don't know how I did it. Sometimes I would record stuff on my phone because it would help me better, but I'll talk about all of the extra ways to help you in class with auditory processing disorder would help me when I, you know, figured out everything from college. And so after that, I talked to all my friends about it, and all my friends laughed, and they were like, oh my gosh, like, that makes so much sense, like, we understand now, because I would, like, repeat back things to them that were really weird and really interesting, and they're like, what, that's not what I said, you know, I never said that, I said this, and I'm like, oh, and it was kind of embarrassing for me, because, like I said, at the time, back in high school, I had no idea that I had this disability, that I couldn't understand people fully, like what they were saying. And, you know, fast forward to my college years, I decided to go into speech pathology and audiology because I wanted to have my own auditory clinic and help people that had auditory processing disorder and do therapy for them and all of that stuff. And so what happened was I ended up going to see my audiologist at school, who was also my teacher, and she diagnosed me that I do in fact have APD, and that these are the accommodations that I could use for a class to help me, you know, succeed and do better and, you know, get the grade that I deserve, all that type of stuff. And so I learned that diagnosis, my left ear can process better than my right ear. And so what happened was when I would go to school, I realized and understood why I always sat in the front, in the left corner of the room, because I was able to process things much better. And so, yeah, I have the paperwork saying, hey, this is my diagnosis sheet. I had to find it somewhere. It's probably back home in Vegas. It's somewhere. But that would be a really cool video to do. I'll do that one time to show you guys my diagnosis, what my teacher found. But yeah, like, after that, things just made more sense, and I, you know, help people that I'm friends with, and tell me about, you know, your problems. Like, you know, did you feel the same thing that I had at school? Like, did you have struggles talking to people sometimes? You know, I'm so very in tune with it, and I can kind of pick out some of the people that have problems with auditory processing disorder and not know about it, and I'm like, hey, like, you know, it's okay, I have the same thing too, like, we can work through it, we could overcome this. You know, there's a lot of tools and a lot of things you can use, especially if you're a student, help you feel better and help you understand things more and kind of work your way around it. There are times where I wish that I learned about this, like, way, like, younger, so I could take those, you know, accommodations and that my teachers or anyone, like, would tell me about, that I could do, like, record lectures for easier understanding. You know, record lectures so I could go back and I could listen to them and I could learn things easier that way. Like, always do a double retake, basically. But anyway, yeah, so that is my story of how I found out I had a learning disability and, you know, my diagnosis and everything like that. It's be a longer version, but I wanted to keep this kind of short and sweet and to the point. In the future, I plan on doing a whole lot more videos about the 5, like, accommodating ways for students to help succeed in classrooms. I'm thinking about doing my diagnosis sheet and explaining kind of what it entails. Just, like, cool things like that. Like, I have so many good content, it's crazy. Like, I want to do interviews with friends and family and teachers about what it was like, you know, having a student that had a learning disability like that in their classroom and how they dealt with it. You know, just all the type of stuff. I wanted to do this for a long time, but I was, in my last video, you know, I was kind of scared to start, but I'm really excited and I can't wait to see like what you guys think and what you guys think about this disability, because it's very interesting. So with that, and the bottom link, I'll actually link below the examples of what people go through. So I found this really cool video where, you know, you see students going over this video and trying to do like instructions on it, but somehow they can't like complete it because there's all this like background noise and stuff like that. And so it's really exciting because people could actually understand what it was like with doing instructions and learning stuff in school. So I'll link that below for you guys. Anyway, alright, I'm gonna go. Bye!